Giants Editor? No, ladies and gentlemen, it is not. Everything that you see here before you, I have done by using two awesome mods. Now, I don't know if you recognize the gentleman in the thumbnail picture that I posted, but his name is Bob Ross, the late Bob Ross, may he rest in peace. Now, Bob Ross used to be a painter, and he broadcast his TV show on the PBS public broadcasting system here in America, and every week he would show people how to paint beautiful oil paintings. And what he did was he took very complex oil painting techniques and he packaged them and presented them in a way that the average person can pick up a brush and a canvas with some paints and create something well above average and display worthy. So why am I talking about him? Well, I'm comparing him to the mod author, Jodam. So what Jodam has done is he has taken some very complex Giants Editor techniques and he's packaged them and presented them in a way that the average person that knows nothing about Giants Editor can hop in a tractor, attach these two implements, and create beautiful, awesome things. The sky's the limit, and I'm going to show you all about this, and I'm going to even give you some tips to help open up your mind and show you the creative possibilities. So I hope you'll join me, but first, let's have a look at this. Alright, so the first thing we'll look at is the textures. There's 18 in all, just like in Giants Editor. So that's your cultivated texture on the left, and then we have your plowed texture, and then sown texture, and then we have sown wide. Now this is basically your potato texture. And then this is grass field. Now as you see, it's just flat, one-dimensional grass. Now the other ones, even though they have depth and dimension to them, they do not function. So you will not grow grass, you will not grow potatoes, you will not grow anything with the field textures. That's one thing really important. It just deletes what's underneath it and replaces it with a pretty picture. So if you want to grow something, you have to plow, cultivate, seed, just like regular. Now this is the asphalt, and as you see, it's got those nice fine little crack details that you'd find by laying asphalt down on an irregular surface. Really nice. And then we have the sand, or the beach sand, and then this is the concrete. And I'm going to show you a technique using rock and concrete later. It's really cool. And this is pine needles, and as you see, you can see all the little pine needles in there, really nice. So now, these are all the standard Giants textures. So if you're on a map with custom textures, the roller will not put those out, just so you know. And then this one here is grass. So this is just your standard grass like you'd see if you deleted the terrain layer. That sprayed on one-dimensional grass. And here's our gravel. And the nice thing about these textures is, like if you put down a gravel texture and you drive over it, you'll get the gravel sound. And then here is leaves. This is nice for the forest floors or around placeable trees. And you can even mix in a little bit of grass and pine needle and really build up some depth when you're using this stuff. Don't just roll out one flat texture and be done with it. Create something with it. And here's the rock, and in Giants Editor it's called mountain rock. Now it looks kind of three-dimensional, but yet still flat, and there are areas, you know, in terrain where you'll see rocks embedded into the ground like this. But if you take this and roll it alongside of a hill, you can create a really awesome looking rock ledge. And I'm even going to show you how to do that, and another technique as well. And here we have one that I'm excited about, the mud, or in Giants Editor it's called pig mud. So this is really cool because it just adds another layer of dimension to an otherwise just boring sprayed out dirt road or dirt main yard area. You can dot it with some slippery pig mud and mud puddles. And then we have the Sosnovka tiles. He calls them plates, but they're the cement tiles from Sosnovka. And let's see if you can guess what this texture is. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, dirt. So that's your dirt. And like I said, you dabble some pig mud over that in spots, and it just adds another layer of interest. And then this one is called meadow, and it kind of looks like the grass texture, except it's got a little bit more of the light mossy greens, so it kind of looks like velvety moss to me. So this would be nice to put down before you plant some grass if you don't want dark splotches, or around trees on the forest floor before you paint in some leaves and stuff. And then this one they call lawn. Now, I don't know about you, but if my lawn looked like this, I would have a fit. It kind of looks like, the sun has burned in the dog urine and, whatever was left clinging to life was trampled by tractors and people. But yep, this is lawn, ladies and gentlemen. So, but this texture also has a great application in to where you can put it like at the end of a driveway where you turn out, just a little bit along the edges, and to make it look like the tires have kind of rubbed away the grass and left something behind. So you could still work with stuff like that and make something that's really interesting. Okay, so on the bottom here we have the plowed texture, and then up on the right is the cultivated, and the left is the sown. And just to drive this home again, as you see here in field 21, nothing is happening. So it doesn't give you the plowed or cultivated status. It just shows as brown, deleted texture. So you will not grow anything by using these textures. So it's just a picture. I can't stress that enough. I don't want you rolling out this stuff on a field thinking you're going to take a shortcut and then come screaming at me later. Okay, so before we get into the texture building aspect, I wanted to show you this little plow set to have in your arsenal right here in Plows, and they're called Unias. So this is the 0.7 meter, the 0.12, the 0.18, and a 2 meter plow over here. So these are great for doing little fields, obviously, but also for doing touch-ups. Now, when you download the roller mod for the textures, you're not going to find another roller in your miscellaneous. It is a script that's adapted to the in-game standard roller. The same holds true for the wild grass mod aspect of this. It works with the Great Plains and the Kverneland sewing machines only. I tested it with the larger ones, and it's only these two. Give you a little demonstration here. So as you see, you can use it to kind of, dot grass along your dirt path or an edge that you want to have grass on, or down the middle of your gravel driveway. Now, as you see, it's putting it out rather wide for what I'm trying to do with it. But what I will do afterwards is I'll jump in the tractor with the roller, and I'll come back and I'll narrow it down or thin it out in spots. So you have to kind of play back and forth with the two mods to get the effect that you want, but they work great. So this pole barn is a placeable in-game, and it doesn't have a floor, so I put a concrete floor down in it, and I transitioned the gravel driveway into the pole barn. So I'll show you how I did that. So basically, I painted the whole floor inside once I put the barn down, and then I came around the outside perimeter with whatever texture that I wanted to put on the outside. And I just hugged the side of the barn nice and close and got it as far in as I could. Now, if you see bleed through on either side that you can't live with, when you're done with this process, you can just delete the pole barn and just paint in a little bit, of the mist under the barn, and then put it back on, and that'll take care of it. And then if you're chasing your tail and you have a little bleed through inside or outside still, you can get it once you place the barn back down. All right, let's dress this driveway up here with a little pig mud, a couple of mud puddles. So what you can do is you can look for depressions in the ground and just add little puddles, just to kind of break it up a little bit so it doesn't look so sterile. Now you'll notice that it does come out rather square. So the easy way to handle that is you can come back over it and just kind of cut off the edges a bit. Now keep in mind when you're doing this though, or any kind of edge work, if you're doing something that demands a fine straight line or whatever, there is like a overspray that goes a little bit beyond the working width of the roller. So it adds kind of like a feathered edge to it. So you have to kind of start a little further away than you would want to be and then work your way in. And you just kind of fashion it the way you want it. And with this one, the things you don't want to do is like, cut the little water spot in half so it looks like half a puddle. But you can play around with it, and if you make a mistake, that's okay. Just switch it back to gravel, and you can patch that back in and then go back to mud, so forth and so on. So one thing I haven't mentioned up until this point is how to activate the different textures. So if you haven't been looking at my F1 menu throughout the video, the letter Y key, you just keep tapping that and you cycle through and it'll show you the different textures. And then the letter X key. Now this is to either keep the grass or remove the grass when you're applying the texture. Now sometimes you may want to play it safe and just have the grass stay on, so it's not being removed if you're painting over a certain area that has grass with, say, this gravel or the mud. And then you can go back with grass off and apply the texture again in the areas where you don't want the grass. So as you see here, I could take advantage of that little overspray and I can kind of throw some gravel out into the dirt road, because a gravel driveway, when you're running over it back and forth, it's not going to have a perfectly straight manicured line. So you can just kind of gently play with it, and if you put too much gravel for your taste, you can turn on the dirt or the pig mud, and you can crop that back down a little bit. But don't be afraid to make things irregular. That's the way a lot of things are in nature. And on a busy farm, you ask how many farmers take time to manicure their driveways and lawns around their work areas, their sheds. Time is money. So, if you're a lousy driver, this is perfect for you. I'm a lousy driver, so having irregular, squiggly lines, I'm a natural for painting roads. So I dumped that gravel down here on purpose just to show you that if you make a mistake, it's okay. I just take my plow and I plow it back up. Now, I don't have to tell it to create new field because there's already a field here and I already have grass growing under here. So I can just take the other little implement, the wild grass mod, and fill it in with the grass. So, of course, you don't have to use the plow this small. This is just what I had on hand. So just an example. And voila, mission accomplished. So let's say your new cement floor looks just too picture perfect for your old barn. Well, you can use the mountain rock texture to put some cracks in your cement. So I'll just roll out some mountain rock. Now, keeping in mind, the cracks in the mountain rock are only going to go the same horizontal direction as the roller, no matter which way you're facing, if that makes sense. So you can roll out as much as you want to, because you can backfill with your cement afterwards, so it's no big deal. Now we switch to cement and we'll just fill in the unwanted areas, keeping in mind that extra overspray width that I was talking about. So you just have to slowly, see it went over the crack a little bit right there, but that's okay. And you just gently, a little bit at a time, fill it in until you get the desired result. And if you go over too much of the crack, then you say a naughty word and you switch back to rock and do it again. Alright, so I selected this little sloping area of the hill over here so we can use the rock texture for its best and intended purposes. We'll just make a little rock ledge over here, little outcropping. And you see that if you use it over some bumpy, hilly terrain, it really starts to become more three-dimensional. And again, you can play with it back and forth a little bit just so it doesn't look so square and straight. Irregular is good because rock and ground, they don't come together always in a perfect manicured manner. And there we go. And like I said, you can just kind of tweak it and add a little wild grass between the cracks or do whatever. Like the immortal Bob Ross would say, it's your world. If you think a happy little rock lives under that grass hill, you just go ahead and take your roller and you bring it out. You flush it out. So here's an area that I did. I painted some mountain rock in amongst the mountain rock that was already here, just to show you that you can really blend in things nicely. So I dare you to figure out what part I did and what part was already here. So I think this mod is going to change the face of Farming Simulator, literally. This is going to be one of those mods. It's going to be the first 2 mods that I'm going to click on anytime I load a map and I'm having a scout around to see what I want to do, what I want to change to personalize it more for me. And I think going forward with future editions of Farming Simulator, I think this is going to be a mod that we're going to be waiting for conversion. It's going to be like Follow Me, GPS, and all the other greats. So I hope I was able to get you excited and spark some creativity in you. and possibly entertain you a little bit as well. Please let me know what you think down in the comments section. And if you're a member of our forum, 3dudesgn.com, go ahead and post some pictures and show me the awesome things that you've been doing with these two mods. And if you're not a member, please do consider going over and signing up. That's 3dudesgn.com. We talk about all kinds of games and all kinds of subjects. So we're a great group of people over there. Really awesome. So please do consider joining. So I'm going to leave the links to these mods down in the description for the Farming Simulator website. Even if you download them through your in-game mod hub, please click on the links, go over, and give the mod author a 5-star rating if you enjoy these mods. It's really helpful, and it's much appreciated, and it encourages them and motivates them to continue updating and improving their mods and creating new mods. So please don't forget to do that. So I want to thank you very much for watching. And until we meet again, my friends, please take great care of yourself, okay? And bye-bye for now.